Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. So welcome to the show, Nathan. We're going for it again. Yes.
Welcome again.
Welcome again. So hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer, live at the Davy Centre in Sheffield, the world's longest running fantasy battle.
Yeah, it's been around a while, hasn't it?
22 years it's been around. Yeah, so 22 years, and there's 80 people here playing Warhammer Age of Sigmar. 2,000 points, match play, 5 rounds.
This
is
packed,
round 2.
Yeah,
it's packed, So 5 rounds into round 2, and it's going to be focal points. So everyone in the room is playing focal points. The key takeaway from last round was all the Flesh Eater Courts players, apart from one.
Bar one.
I
bet he's feeling a bit small now. Our friend, poor old Simon Eccles.
Yeah. So
Speckles.
Yeah. So interestingly, the match we're going to be covering is a mirror match, and then Nikos, with his Seraphon, we're following his journey. He's obviously won, which means he now goes into the competitive bracket.
Oh dear.
That's scary.
Ooh,
and then by going to the competitive bracket, he's playing against John Dale with his Skaven. So we're seeing Skaven again. Also, JJ from the last round, he's got a mirror match. Of Skaven versus Skaven. So can't wait to see how that game turns out eventually.
Yeah. So do we know how the Skaven did the first round?
Real solid.
Yeah. I bet there were loads of wins. But obviously they're going to thin out now once they start playing each other.
Exactly.
But both the new books are doing really well then.
Really, yeah. The new books are doing excellent. So
those two.
We're all. It's going to be interesting to see how this game develops and how these games develop. But let's go to table 1 and let's look at this mirror match.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, John. So what you've got is, and we're already into the game. Okay, so you've got Pete's Flesh Eater Court army versus Tony's Flesh Eater Courts army. Right, that's what we're seeing on the tabletop, and then. And Pete, not Pete, sorry, Tony, who's actually at the top. Tony got to decide who goes first because he's got a Ghoul Patrol in his list. So he has a Ghoul King on a Terrorgeist, and he also has a Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon. And the reason, we spoke to him beforehand, didn't we? And we said the reason that he's decided to go for the difference is for the flexibility in his list.
So the Terrorgeist, obviously, for its mortal wounds, and then the Zombie Dragon has just got slightly more attacks at higher end, Ren 2, so...
Yes,
it's slightly different, but I mean, they're both just big monsters that bite the hell out of whatever they get stuck into, don't they?
Yeah, we spoke to Pete. He actually, his game before, he actually found the game to be a little bit uninteractive because his general just whomped through.
Straight through a whole army,
Straight through. So maybe we're seeing some sort of comparative difference in books. And maybe the 2019 books are just so much stronger than army books that we've had before. It'd be interesting to find out eventually, but right now...
Yeah, well, the first one, so Gloomspite looked pretty strong, but still needs... you need to be able to play a fairly... It's quite complicated and still random, so you still need, you need to be able to play really well to get stuff out of it, I think. Whereas these two are a lot easier to play and still do really well with them.
They are much easier to play, you are right.
Yeah, we have heard a few stories of people that played the Flesh Eater Courts, and basically it does sound like the dragon, the general on the Terrorgeist can basically kill a whole army on his own, which is pretty scary. Really.
Very scary.
Because he's dead quick.
Super quick, and the reason he's able to do that is because he gets to always strike first, so he goes before you in activations, which is really important. He then gets to spend a command point and pile in an attack twice. Can have D3 extra attacks on all of its melee weapons, which means it's big. The big jaw attack from the Terrorgeist has got an additional D3 bites. Does a flat 6 mortal wounds on natural 6s to hit. On top, it's just bonkers. I've seen the other day I saw one of them just go through 10 Secretors and then another 10 Secretors. Just unreal.
That sounds crazy. But anyway, we see some summoning happening on the table at the moment. The unit on the right, this unit here, has been summoned.
So this is turn 1. So what we've got Tony's army, which is at the top left, had the choice because of his Ghoul Patrol. He's got less drops. He's got turn 1. He's decided to go first. So we're only into turn 1, and we've seen this This is his general. This is the Ghoul King on top of the Terrorgeist. He's got the always strikes first. Yeah, that's what he's got on top of him, and he's going in here.
Okay. So and then on the right hand side, just in front of that unit, we can see a chalice has been summoned.
There we go.
So that fellow. So that's super important.
Yeah, it is.
It's got its healing ability, which just makes the general so much better, being able to heal them as he kills stuff.
As he kills stuff, he is just going to like heal wounds back onto those monsters who are already basically. They're not indestructible, but they're very tough. And it's really interesting watching how both players have built their army slightly differently. Pete has gone for the same loadout, but he's gone for an ethereal gem on his general, so he always strikes first, and he's got an ethereal gem. What Tony's gone for is he's got the doppelganger cloak, and he's gone
on the secondary dragon.
And he's got the artifact because of Ghoul Patrol.
Yeah. Well, they've both got Ghoul Patrol, I think. The interesting thing about that chalice, though, is it just affects Flesh Eater Court, so it should be affecting both armies, I think.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
It'd be cool to see what it does during the course of the game here, actually, with the double.
I mean, what's really nice?
Yeah,
what's really nice in this particular situation is we don't have to worry about the shooting phase taking too long.
Oh yeah.
Oh baby, that's
I don't think many of the phases will take that long. Probably the movement, because the fighting will be pretty quick and bloody.
Yes.
Because they're pretty scary in a fight.
Yeah. Obviously there's the charges that are going to be going in here, and as you can see, there's already someone on the. Ghoul Patrol's already coming on the right hand side, and I think we're already seeing charges.
We had some zombie dragon breath, and so now it's probably charging time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see that. But while we're quickly waiting to see where these charges end up, because I'm pretty certain he's going to go for that alpha on one of the dragons, because if he can trade. If he can trade 2 for 1, then effectively I think he's going to just win the game based on that, which is why I think he went first. He went for the movement, and he's just gone for, there you go, he's like, I'm going to have that first. So the big question is, but however, this is the dragon that has got the ethereal, so this is, on the right hand side, this is Pete's general, and here on the left hand side, this is his off dragon. It's like an off tank, right?
His secondary, his sub dragon. So it's going to be. So if he's getting 2, obviously one's going to fight first. So before the combat phase.
But he's also got the doppelganger.
The other one can activate.
So on the right hand, what I think he's going to do here is he's going to activate twice because he gets 2 first. Yeah, so this will be 2 combats. This one guy won't be able to fight until everyone else has fought, and then because of the doppelganger cloak, so then he'll fight twice. Yeah, and game.
Oh, so it'll be all over so quick.
Which is good, because
we'll have the afternoon off.
Well, we'll have the whole afternoon off, but if we do quickly, John's going to quickly show you what our Nikos's game that we're doing.
Okay.
So John, let's just have a quick look. There you go. As you can see, the Moody Temple. So what you've got is Nikos with his Lizardmen on the bottom, and at the top you have John with his Skaven. John has got a really interesting Skaven list. He's got a Vermin Lord Warp Seer here, right there. You can see where the Narmals are. He has 1 Warp Lightning Cannon. He has 6 Storm Fiends. He has the Doom Rocket Warlock Engineer with more power. He's got Clan Rats here, here, and here. So you've got lots of options. He also has, and he's already cast it. Nikos has got to be upset about this. Right here, as we saw in the first game, the devastating pylons from the Skaven. Yeah. So we'll come back to that. Let's rock back to the combat on table 1. So we will talk about that. We'll talk about those pylons going off. That's going to be big, right?
Yeah, that vortex is such a big spell.
Good.
And
so good. And also going off the turn you cast it.
Yeah. And it just keeps going and going.
Yeah. The charge. We didn't see the charge going here. We saw the charge go around there. That's quite interesting. What do you think of that? So I think we're just going to go for the Wonder Dragon.
On a low dice roll. Apparently he rolled a low dice roll.
For the charge?
Yeah. seems to have gone past the other dragon to get there, right? But yeah, he's piled in.
All right, so and then maybe what he's doing is he's measuring whether or not when he piles in again, he'll be able to get a round of fighting off before, because otherwise he's just going to get countercharged, right?
Yeah.
So again, and what's nice about this, what I love about Age of Sigmar is those 3-inch charges, because they do really mitigate. They do really mitigate. Also, Relian, thanks for subscribing. That's nice. Thanks everyone. Elf Bro, how you doing? You got a real army yet? Hello everyone on Twitch. You guys are brilliant. Really happy to see you here. Thanks for joining us.
So here comes the first round of attacks from the big old dragon. So this is going to hurt.
So this is here. This is here because he has to fight first. This is his general is this one on the bottom. Yeah.
So general's right, the deepest one.
The one at the bottom is the general.
Yeah, that's right. So he's.
The Chessmaster, we'll try and get the list up. So lists weren't submitted until today. So normally at every other event we try to get them up, but they'll be attached to the YouTube video when it goes up.
Yeah. So that's Pete's general.
Yep. Right, yeah, with the pink dice is Pete's general.
That's right, and then that's Tony's
This is Tony's general. So both of these two generals, so this general here can strike first. This is why mirror matches are so interesting, and this general can strike first. But where I think it's really interesting is this this dragon here, which is Pete's, Tony's dragon here has got the doppelganger cloak, so he's going to activate that now, and he basically is going to get 4 rounds of combat from 2 dragons before Pete gets to retaliate.
Wow, that's mental. That's going to hurt a lot. So, and I do think the Flesh Eater Court, once you do take out the heroes, the rest of the army is not that special.
Yeah, like these guys. Yeah, these Ghoul Kings on either Terrorgeist or Zombie Dragon. They go through whole armies.
Yeah.
They go through whole armies. So yeah, I'm not very confident realistically. If either of Pete's 2 dragons go down, with the exception of maybe if his general lives. Now he's a general, like we said, he's got that ethereal gem, so he could just do saves. But he is fighting against the the zombie dragon. He's fighting against the zombie dragon, and he doesn't have the mortal wound output. That you see on top of the Terrorgeist. So, and you kind of want the mortal wounds into, I would argue, the ethereal gem.
Well, yeah, obviously it'll work best against them. So I've just heard from the table, in this piece of terrain down here, there's some of Pete's characters. So that's this.
Yeah, so that's actually...
They were in there and they're not there anymore.
Yeah, so this is Pete's charnel throne, and he did have 2 characters in there.
Yeah, so and they're gone.
And now they're kaput. I think that's the phrase.
Okay, so the Archregent is dead. The other character, he's ignored that. So he's got rid of Pete's Archregent.
And Pete's only got the 1 Archregent.
I believe so, yeah. Just the one in there's another character in there. I don't think it's an Archregent.
But that's super impactful. Because that he's lost a spell doing D3. Also, Tony's spell loadout, both spells he's chosen. Also, big shout out to Tony. He's written all of his abilities and artifacts on cards, printed them out, and then he's travelling them around with the dragons. So that's super useful. So well done there. I think that's excellent work.
Yeah, that's very that's good bookkeeping.
Yeah, it's really good bookkeeping.
There comes some saves.
Which is what you need, right? Like, Age of Sigmar's got a lot of bookkeeping at the minute.
Yeah, definitely makes it.
Yeah, dragons are broke. I think that's a fair point. I think that's what we're going to learn from this weekend. Nathan, I'm pretty certain Flesh Eater Courts are going to win the tournament. I don't know what you think, how you feel.
Sorry?
I'm pretty certain Flesh Eater Courts are going to win the tournament.
Reckon?
That's my feelings.
I think it will. I mean, I back Skaven, and I still think Skaven can beat the Flesh Eater Courts just because they've got the ability to reach out and take off the dragons.
I don't think many things can beat the Flesh Eater Courts, though. I think the Flesh Eater Courts is a power level above a lot of the other armies in the tabletop this year.
Definitely. I mean, if they get into combat with you,
which they pretty much can,
it's going to hurt a lot. But then the Skaven have the ability to pick them out and I do think if you can get rid of the buffing characters, then the rest of the army you can take apart fairly. You know, they become a lot less scary then. So.
All right. So while those combats are happening, let's go. I really want to find out now what's happening on table 2. So, well, this isn't table 2. This is voted by the Twitch chat, not Twitch chat, by Twitter. People nominated Nikos's army to be the army that we follow for the whole weekend.
Yeah.
So this is a Seraphon. There are 12 Razordons, and there are 4 located here. There are 4 located here. I think there were 4 there, but wow.
Spot one of those.
Oh no, yeah, there's one there. Good. Okay, so there's 8 up here, and then there are 4 up there. So what's interesting on the tabletop for you guys is here is the pylon spell cast. So what you're able to do with a Warlock Engineer is you get +1 to cast if you're near one of the warp holes.
Yeah.
Then you're able to eat a piece of warpstone and re-roll it. So a re-rollable +1 to cast the spell that's an 8 to cast. It's cast here, and then every unit within 6 inches is on a 4+ taking D3 mortal wounds, or taking D6 mortal wounds on a 6+.
Yeah, and then you get pluses to that 4-up if you're closer to more of the vortex pylons. So
now I think what John's been super clever with, what he's got more power on this Warlock Engineer with the Doom Rocket, and he's cast that onto the 6 Storm Fiends. So they're going to get to reroll to hit and reroll to wound.
Wow.
With the wind launchers, with the Gatling cannons, just loads. So that's going to have a massive impact. Here, you have a Vermilor Warps here. This is the second one we've seen at the tournament so far, so a very competitive choice.
There's such a tanky character, and that 26-inch immune to battle shock bubble that they give off is just gold in a Skaven army. Really, really good.
Crazy good. And then what it does is it's got a 26-inch command ability, so it's roughly like that, but nothing like that at all. And what that is going to allow every Skaven tied unit within it is going to be immune to battle shock. So that's going to mean that Nikos has to deal with each one of those units or kill the Vermin Lord first. But he's got 4-up rerollable save. He has a 5+ ignore. He has another 5+ ignore because he's near the Skaven tied unit because the artifacts he's chosen. It's just madness. But John has gone first. This is the first turn of this game. So that's all we've had. Let's go for a quick drop back to table 1, see if we've got any dead dragons, because that's what we're excited. We don't have any dead dragons yet, but what we do have is this unit of ghouls here, belonging to Pete. They're dead. Now there's still ongoing combat. We'll find out what Pete does to retaliate. However, what we will do is we'll go find out right now what Adam's doing.
Thanks, Rob. So we're pretty early on in proceedings. It looks like we've got the same on the top government tables. It's not a huge amount to report. You've got a lot of early game shenanigans, and the thing I will tell you is that the kind of the really over the top jovial nature of the very first game it's shifted quite a lot. There's a lot of people getting quite gamey, and by gamey I mean that they're all picking up on loads of little rules like, oh, you can't deploy that, you can't do that. No, I think you'll find you have to do this, and there's been TOs called over, there's been a couple of decisions that have to be made or overturned already, and there's lots of little niggly bits going on, so the tension's definitely risen in here. There's a lot of people very keen to start winning some games, so, but just over my shoulder here, swapped with table 1 is Skaven, so JJ, as you saw earlier on, with his Skaven versus Tom with his Skaven. So you've got Skaven mirror match just here. And so far, all we saw was Tom had taken out... There's a curtain trying to take over the camera. All we've seen is Tom's taken out 18 Plague Months out of JJ, but it's really, really early days still. And it's the same through most of the hall so far. Table 8, just over my right shoulder here, you've got John Green versus Ben. John's got his Stormcast Eternals. Ben's got Flesh Eater Courts. Now, this is where we open up the discussion about playtesters and that sort of thing, having that much early access. Now, anybody who knows the name Ben Johnson will know that he's probably had a little bit more early access to his army to the Flesh Eater Courts than most other people. It's a week old, so everybody else here, most of the other people here with Flesh Eater Courts are running a week old army. You know, it's really, really new. You got to argue that Ben Johnson, probably being that he basically owns Age of Sigmar, he knows what he's doing, so John's got an uphill battle straight away. And he was, TO had to be called over for some signs of the storm activity, whether or not John could call in an extra Scions unit for having a Castellan with a Grip Hand. It's a discussion that I think definitely needs to be picked up on, but with the boss of Age of Sigmar, you know, it's a bit crazy. Table 10, Alex Bruce with his Mixed Order versus Simon with his Skaven. Now, Alex, so far, is the only person to have beaten Flesh Eater Courts. Now, we're going to see a lot more of that soon, but Alex is now up against Skaven, which is the next hotness, right? So he's looking to take some scalps really early on, and he's got some uphill battles. If Alex with his Mixed Order does manage to topple the Skaven, he's almost definitely going to be playing Flesh Eater Courts again next turn, but we'll see. Joe Purcell versus James Bedford. It's a Stormcast mirror match. This is quite an interesting one, actually. James has got a lot of the newer units. He's got plenty of evocators. He's playing it very much the Sacrosanct style and the Sacrosanct way. Joe has not. He's got Starjade, he's got some Dracothian Guard, he's got Judicators, he's got a really classic-looking Stormcast list, which is fantastic to see. Unfortunately for Joe, he's getting kind of marched off a little bit. James is just Scions straight in, so that's the deep strike ability that Stormcast have. He's just dropped straight in behind the unprotected lines of Joe and is just eating through his army. Table 28, James Boots with Gloomspike Gits. Now, there's only a couple of Gloomspike Gits armies here. He's actually running Spiderfang, and he's up against Nigel with his Tzeentch. Now, Nigel's the only Tzeentch player here. Imagine if you roll back 12 months, it would be a slightly different story. But that's, you know, still fairly early on. They're still just kind of eyeing each other up, sizing each other. This spider's skittering around, and we'll see how that goes. 16, the other Gloomspike Gits player against another Mixed Order. So this is Tim Fisher, Gloomspike Gits, versus Byron with his Mixed Order, and that's again really, really early. They're still just early in deployment there. Over my right shoulder, you'll probably be able to hear him as well. Dan, the Master. We've actually whittled down where he's the Master of, because apparently there's a lot of Masters. We can't say UK Master. He's, unfortunately, we can't even say really Nottingham Master. We've whittled it down to southeast. There's a little patch of southeast Nottingham that he's the Master of. So good on you, Dan, the Master of southeast Nottingham. Good man. He's up against Adam Hazelwood with his Nighthawk. Now, there's only 2 Nighthawk players here, which is interesting because there's when we kind of reviewed them, when we were talking about them early on, they were looking hot as you like, but there's like none here. Nobody's here with them really. And then Table 24, Speckles with his Flesh Eater Courts, the only guy to have been beaten with his Flesh Eater Courts, is up against Nigel with his Gutbusters. Now this is a super elite army. Already though, the zombie dragon has started munching away on some giants and ogres. There's a big dead pile on Nigel's part, which is a bit of a shame. And then we've also got a Skaven versus Flesh Eater Courts battle, which is kind of this story of the tournament. I think is fair to say they're 2 very, very new armies and very much the big scary new baddies. And so far, all that's happened is we've got Steve. Steve has given turn 1 away 2 miles. Steve is he's pumping out all the BDE. He's just standing about. He's like, I'm going to give you turn 1 because none of your cannons are in range anyway, so you got to move them. And then I get you in range, and then I'm going to double turn you. So he's really cocksure. And with that, I'm going to scurry off, get some more stories. I'm going to hand back to Rob and Nathan to give you a bit more on what's going on in the mirror match on Table 1.
Back. Thank you, Adam. What a wonderful man. Talented, professional, courteous, kind, and now, thankfully, thin. So back on the tabletop here at Sheffield Slaughter, you are seeing round 2, playing focal points, a Flesh Eater Courts mirror match a week after the book's release. Who's going to win? And we've seen some really interesting stuff happen, haven't we, Nathan?
Yeah, so this is the second half of the first round. So this is Pete's turn.
And we had just so you can see, Pete has these 2 dragons here.
At the end of Tony's turn, which we didn't see, Pete's dragon killed Tony's dragon.
Yes.
Which is where you've just seen that number 1 written. And that was basically Pete's dragon survived because it had the ethereal amulet. That thing that everybody carries around with them apparently.
Everywhere
they made so many.
The ethereal amulet mine is empty at this stage, wherever it would be. So as you can see, basically what happened is number 1 and number 2, so those 2 characters, number 2 being Tony's general, charged in. Tony's general attacked first, he cleared out some units here. However, he activated his doppelganger cloak on his number 1 dragon at the top, and then what happened is Pete with his number 1 dragon, who's his general, he got to he just made all of his ethereal amulet saves like he made, attacked and won that fight. So now his number 1 dragon is going to be able to go and attack the number 2 dragon because it's Pete's turn. He gets the priority. He gets to always strike first before always strikes. He shouldn't charge it with the number 2 dragon. That would be a mistake. Now, while it's not a game of just dragons, and there are ghouls everywhere because of the ghoul patrol, down here, down there, I think whoever, if Pete gets off this charge with this dragon, and then he fights twice and he kills that general dragon, I think it's pretty much game for Pete at this stage. Tony's got to feel like that's a tough.
Yeah,
move,
that
right?
was a tough. Yeah, I think because he played it well, he went in there, managed to get the first punch in. Thought we were going to see a couple of dragons go down, but no.
We only saw the 1 dragon.
We saw 1 dragon go down.
I mean, he has not gone.
So he's going for the unit in the center. So, I mean, it is still about the gold, although I do think if you clear out your opponent's big hitters and then your own are free to
just roam for the next, because this is only turn 1.
They will just go through everything.
Tony had turn 1, took turn 1 and has gone, and you're absolutely right, like, wow, like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. So this is Tony's ambushing units have come on to threaten the side objectives. So that's over here. But then Peter's screamed against that with this unit and then this unit here. So he's got a couple of decent runs in, it looks like. He's formed a couple of barriers just while he tries to sort out this mess in the middle, which is going to be clearing out these guys. And then obviously dealing with that dragon at the bottom.
Yeah, so, I think that's going to be key. Because Tony will have scored in his turn. He'll have scored. He'll have just scored. I don't think he'll have scored the objective in the centre, will he? No, he has.
No, yeah, he's got this. So there is a unit strung out across there. This unit here.
Yeah. There and there. So he scored.
Yeah.
So he'll have scored 4 points in his first turn, which is important. And you're right. It is all about scoring the points, and he doesn't want Tony to just get ahead on points. But if he does just take out his big hitter, that seems to be the sensible decision in my mind.
Yeah. I was just laughing at the lights. They're just changing colours now. Willy-nilly.
Yeah. So we have Adam, our new table boss. Doesn't he's going to learn. He needs to. Yeah, we're going to do some teaching on how to do the Sol system. If we go to table 2, while we're oh no, hold on. Let's not. Let's stay.
Yeah.
I'm just so about being able to go to all the different tables. I never know what to do. Right.
Jumping around.
So I personally think Pete should have gone here and attacked that. I think Pete's actually a really solid gamer. So I think if he's not made that decision, it's for maybe he just thinks I'll charge, because then I don't know.
Maybe he thinks this guy is going to deal with that guy at the bottom.
This guy goes to go first.
He's just seen his 1 dragon just demolish another dragon. He's like, my dragons are better.
Well, I just went to the better dragon farm. Which is a potential.
Okay, so he's playing for the double. He does think he can kill that dragon, even though it's fighting first. So
okay. But why
so,
give it? Why risk it? Why not just go for the safety net?
Because he is Pete the pirate, and they're risking it is probably his middle name.
Yeah, so
Pete
most
the
people
risking it, pirate.
Yeah, people don't know that Pete actually has an entire cupboard full of biscuits where he's risked it and then got himself a biscuit.
Got loads of biscuits.
Loads of biscuits. So he's gone in. I'm a little bit on tenterhooks, Dave, because I'm like, the first turn has gone his way when it maybe shouldn't have gone his way.
Yeah.
And now
he might have thrown it away for a biscuit.
But if he gets a double, it's a more heroic win.
Yeah, definitely.
So, is that what he's going for? Is he only going for raw power? Is he going for the strength? I don't know. I'm tense. I'm not. Twitch chat, who do you think? Do you think he made the right decision? Give me a yes or a no. That's what I need to know. I need to know if you think it's the right decision. That's what's key. I'm just scared. I'm genuinely scared. I think, but the guys in the chat will tell us.
Right, so it sounds like Pete did make a mistake and thought that he was going first in both combats, and just realised.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, well, it was his birthday yesterday, and
Pete's birthday. Happy birthday, Pete! 30 years old.
As a result of that, he has had many presents of the liquid form. I
think you would describe that as poison of the Australian variety.
That's right. So I do think his judgment may be slightly impaired, although his ethereal cloak or amulet is working a treat.
Yeah, and that's why they decided to kick the table as often as possible, just to make it a little bit more. So
well, let's make it more like on board a ship.
A real battle. Yeah, and more like it's a ship. The Twitch chat. Pete's Dragon is my favourite film, says Scrivo. After 2 rounds of combat, go Pete, says the Age of Earthwood. Chasing the gold. It is 2 VPs in the middle, Luvo, so that's a good point. Tugboat, is Pete sober? No. And then, Pete's Dragon, I love that film. However, he could just get super lucky. Here we go. Tony is attacking. So are we going to see...
So Pete's Dragon ate all of the ghouls in the centre.
Obviously.
So he's got the 2 gold from there, but... it just depends what happens at the bottom here.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to see. But also, and this is what's really important. So this is the path to victory for Pete to bring this game back after what I would describe as an inebriated first turn. Is what he could do is if he gets a priority roll, he can charge and still win this fight. Yeah, we're up for that. If he doesn't win the priority roll, then Tony can charge. And then Pete can make loads of ethereal amulet saves and still win the fight.
He's making save rolls now, maybe.
So if you follow Poker, he's still got 2 outs. He's got 2 outs left at the minute, and he may also just win this fight at the bottom.
It might
third out.
Just so ballsy. If he does, it'll be mental. Oh man.
Yeah, I think it's. This is
gone.
J-Boom.
Pete's Dragon is dead.
Pete's Dragon's dead. So that amazingly has gone exactly as we expected.
Although it's not what we were expecting before he moved the dragons.
Yeah. There was a right choice and there was a non-right choice. However, so the score, which will get updated by our man in the field, Mr. John Scrivo. He'll update the score for us. It's 4 points to Tony currently because he claimed 1, 2, 3. So he claimed those. So it's 4 points in total. And then Pete is going to score only the 1, so it's going to be 4. No, sorry, he's going to get 3. He's going to get the 1 in the centre, so it's going to be 4-3. It's going to be all about getting the points back. I'm a little bit scared that it's not going to go the way we think it's going to go, which I think it's all about the priority roll now.
Okay, so now the dragon was within 18 of the other dragon.
This one?
Yeah. So they have the command ability where they can activate a unit that has just died and it can fight. So the dragon that's just died at the bottom can do its attacks before it dies.
Shut up.
Shut up. So we might see both dragons.
Hold on, there's another out we didn't see. What the flip? This is insane. Like, it does seem really fun. If I was playing with not flesh eater courts, I feel like this would suck because I would not want that to happen.
Oh man, and because it's command ability, you can just use all your command points and do it 4 or 5 times, however many command points you've got left. Wow, that's crazy.
Wait, it's not once?
It's once for every time you spend a command ability.
And how many command ability points has he got?
Probably just 2.
Surely he can only do it at one time. Surely. Otherwise it would
I'm
be...
not sure on the words, but obviously they're both Flesh Eater Court players. They got the books there, so...
So they're saying as many times as they like?
And they've ruled it that way between them, so they've agreed on that.
Flippity... But how many command points can he spend? What,
so he's only got 2. So he came with a ghoul patrol, so that gives him 1. Obviously it's his turn, so he gets another 1. So he's got he's potentially got 2 rounds of combat against that fella. I tell you what, these guys are mental. Flesh Eater Courts are crazy.
This is insane. Why would that be okay? Why would you? At what value? Would it be like because you get wounded and you get less like attacks? Is it at what point?
So there goes 6 more wounds have gone through, the extra hit, and here comes the saves, couple of saves.
So if one goes through and it's D6. Wow, so already 6 more wounds. You got death saves as well, so you're gonna have a 6-up save with death saves. Honestly, I'm on tenterhooks.
Oh, look at this handful of 6-up saves he's trying to make.
Okay, that's it. That's.
And Pete shook his hand and said, "Off." Skills.
Is that the game? Have they called the game?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they've called the game.
I don't think they've called the game. I think Tony...
I think they were just shaking hands because they'd had such a good moment together. They were like, we've had a moment, we have, bro. Let's shake hands. Let's press flesh against each other. Just to...
Oh.
Wow.
So in the very first battle round here, there were 4 dragons.
And now there's 1.
At the end of this turn, there is 1 dragon.
And only because it's wearing an ethereal amulet.
Only because it's wearing a special amulet, but it's dead. And now there are loads of ghouls, and that dragon can only be in one place at once.
But if that other dragon had died, if it hadn't had an ethereal amulet the first turn, the other one would have activated it. They could have all died in the first turn. It could have just been like, everybody's dead, Dave.
Everyone's dead. Well, that would have been really nice. They're both just there after turn 1 like, we've only got ghouls now. This is a much more slow game.
Priority roll.
We'll see the priority roll. It looks like it's gone to Tony though.
Tony's 1 priority and he's taking it.
Yeah, because he's going to want the points.
Yeah.
That is an intense turn. Like,
such a wow.
So you've got the infiltrating ghoul patrol here from Tony. At the top, you've got the infiltrating ghoul patrol from Pete. There is an Arc Regent somewhere for Tony knocking around. There's 2, in fact, I think. There's 1 in here, and then there's 1 over there.
Yeah. So but Pete has lost both of his Arc Regents to the dragon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, so while we're going to come back to that game in a bit, let's go find out what's happening on the table on Nikos's game, right? Because I can tell you some stuff. Right, so if you guys have just joined us, you've seen, so a quick recap. John had less drops, so John got to go first with his army.
Right.
Yeah? So what he did was he pushed forward, and most importantly, he dropped this spell here, which did horrible things. However, it didn't kill Nikos's Slan or Nikos's Engine of the Gods, which is at the bottom. And then it also didn't kill his 8 Razordons, which are over there. Now, there were 4 Razordons here, but the Warp Lightning Cannon did 11 mortal wounds and took 1 in return. So there's only 1 Razordon with 1 wound left over here. Now, what he's clearly done in Nikos's turn, because this is still just turn 1, is he's teleported this unit of Razordons. It looks like they've clearly rolled to be able to move, so he has moved them forward. And what he's going to do is do some shooting. This Razordon unit is over here, along with the Skinks. Now, Nikos has pretty much relied as we saw in the last game, we saw him use the skink lines to just stop units from charging and then shoot over the top.
Yeah.
That's been his tactic. He can't do that here
because they don't want to charge. They're just going to shoot you.
Yeah, he literally has the same army design, and that army design is obviously from John. He's using his clan rats, which are located here, here, and here, to move forward and block stuff up, while his 6 Storm Fiends, his Warp Lightning Cannon do the work, as well as the spell. Now, what's really interesting about where he cast the spell first round, he obviously put it in a fairly impactful place based on where Nikos' units were deployed, but what he didn't do was put it near an objective, constantly causing issues for Nikos. So he didn't put it up here, and he didn't put it down there.
Although his gnaw hole is right next to that objective, so I think he's hoping to, as soon as Nikos gives him a little space, he's going to pop one of his units out to that gnaw hole and nick the gold.
Yeah, so the gnaw holes are located here.
Yeah.
Where's the other 2?
There's one there.
Perfect, thank you very
One
much.
up there.
So yeah, we'll have this table brighten up a bit. That's all we'll have it. It's a variable light inside this venue as we go forward.
Oh, if there's a PowerPoint here, they have to get a lamp off the fan.
I'd love it if you hadn't said that live on the air. Like, I really like it to seem like we really are professional, and we do okay.
Yeah.
We do okay. But the concept of the lamp on the van. There's going to be people listening.
I could drive the van up and just use the headlights.
That also works. That's more like the Fast and the Furious, though, which I prefer. I'm just going to let John use technology. See, he's doing it using the internet.
Wow.
Look at that.
That's great. Can you make it blue?
No, this isn't the LBO. So that's the game. Now, obviously, this game I feel is very, very different to the game we've just seen in the mirror match, right?
Yeah.
That game is basically over.
They just punched each other in the face, and then somebody has fallen over, and somebody else is staggering around it. In fact, I just seen Pete staggering back from the bar. He's obviously gone for a quick top up of the brain fluids.
Yes. Well, he clearly has done only the smart things in his last phase.
Oh man!
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, the Skaven versus Lizard.
Well, number one, it's a traditional
classic, isn't it?
It's a classic.
From Lustria.
Yeah, from Lustria. Yeah, the rats versus their lizard men foes. So what you're seeing is John. John's a really solid player, by the way. I played John way back when at an Alliance event, if you remember.
That's right. Yeah. For the final. Yeah.
For the final. Now John's a really solid player. He plays very accurately, really tight. He's an excellent gamer. So Nikos is up against it with a top tier, I would say, Skaven build army. Yeah. He's gone for the.
It's interesting, the big shooty block of.
Storm Fiends.
Yeah. So
well, with the Doom Rocket that gives, with the Warlock Engineer that gives them rerolls to hit and reroll to wound, and they only take D3 mortal wounds in return. That's just too good in my opinion.
Yeah, that's really good on them. So they've got the poison, they got the mortars and the rattling guns, did you say?
Yes. Windfire launchers, warpfire throwers, and rattling guns.
Oh, okay. It's got all mix of all.
Yeah, which I think is a real good pick. But Nikos is playing. I think Nikos backboarded his army. So in his first turn, he backboarded and then basically strung everything out along here. Basically, those Storm Fiends weren't in range for anything in the first turn. Where we may see devastation is if John gets the priority roll and then they're in range this time. Because if they are in range this time, we could be in a real world of hurt.
Big units.
Yeah. But what he's trying to do is make sure he holds on to the centre objective and doesn't let Nikos score, which I think is quite important. Don't forget, command ability means even those 3 there, those clan rats, they're immune to battle shock because of him, because it's 26 inches outside of this character. So just really, really good.
Yeah, that warp here is such a key piece to a lot of Skaven armies with that big immune to battle shock bubble.
Yeah.
He's so hard to get rid of. So hard.
So he's charged in the Razordons, looking to. I think what he's looking to do is because they're okay. The four of them should kill. If he gets the double, all of those shots are going against that Vermin Lord Warp Seer. But I think that's not going to be enough.
Yeah?
Yeah. So
Would you put them into that, or would you start trying to thin out the Storm Fiends? Or the Warp Lightning Cannon. That's the thing. Well, I've played against the Skaven army, and it feels like everything is a threat. They've just got so many...
Like you and me on a Saturday night out.
Yeah. Exactly like us. No, but so, like when I build an army, when I build my army, I look at the different blocks and I think how many of those are like serious threats. And if I've got 3 or 4, I'm fairly happy with that. But when I've played against the Skaven, it feels like every single unit is really scary. So
yeah, I think so too. I think potentially I would go for, like Ixtam said in the chat, and maybe we'd go for the Storm Fiends. But I'd be tempted. No, you've got to get rid of the damage, right? The Warp Lightning Cannon could potentially kill itself. Yeah.
Or not.
Or not, as we've seen. And also, don't forget, Seraphon have also got the summoning as well.
Yeah.
So they have got the capacity to, whereas the Skaven don't have that. They don't have the attrition that the Seraphon army can get. I think what's really important is Nikos needs a priority role, mainly because he needs to start whittling down. Probably he can bring 8d6 shots into the Storm Fiends. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I would go for that, I imagine, over... Yeah, I would. I'd go for that over shooting in the Vermin Lord. And then he isn't going to be... I don't think I'd bother with the Warp Lightning Cannon. But after what just happened...
That Warp Lightning Cannon can destroy a whole unit.
Exactly. He just took 11 mortal wounds, so 11M. So he just took 11 mortal wounds from there. So I assume he's just going to be like, I'm scared of that, I want to deal with that. Which I think is just... I think that's the plan, realistically. I think what he's going to do is see that and feel like, actually, that's a big threat. I don't know if you get this, first time you experience something, and maybe you make the wrong choice.
Definitely.
Something rolls way better than
you think, oh man, it just becomes a top priority target. And then, but if you had played that, it's not going to do the same thing again. But it potentially could, and that's the problem. With a lot of the Skaven stuff is the potential output. It's not necessarily always the output, but it's really scary, the potential output.
But as you can see there, it's 4-4, and I think we are seeing, I would say that we're seeing movement for, we'll go back to that. Our infield reporter will find out who won the priority role over there. Oh, they're not, it's not priority yet, so we've just seen some movement from John. I'm sure it was for something related. We'll find out what that info is. So, this is the priority roll. This is the big one. This is big. Nikos, it looks like he's rolled a 3. And then John has rolled potentially a 1. So, I'm going to go for...
Oh, so Nikos has lost it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there we go. So...
all right.
So John's starting to fire up all of his weapons. That's gonna hurt.
All right. Well, we'll come back to that game after we find out what happened in the hero phase. Personally, though, I think that's probably game. Because I think you're going to see some damage done from those Storm Fiends you've never seen the like of. Right, back to this. Back to the board. The Vampire Lord Zombie Dragon is here. We have seen the endless spell of the horses arrive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The zombie horses.
The zombie horses have arrived.
Looks like the unit of ghouls on the right have rushed in and attacked that unit that was screening.
They have.
It looks like they've been cleared out. So.
Well, it's interesting because while Pete does have this big unit on the board here, he's got to go and do a lot of jobs. But he doesn't have 4 turns to do those jobs.
Yeah.
So he can, go over here, clear them, alright, sweet, and then go out somewhere else and clear them, and slowly cap the objective. But what he can't afford to do, because what Tony did in his first turn, is he killed quite a few of Pete's extra units. So he can't afford to lose any more units, I don't think.
Yeah. So his little screens are suddenly becoming very valuable, and really, you've got to think twice about using them as screens, because...
they're your scoring units.
You need them. Although probably their use as screens is less important now because there's no dragons to screen against. You're just trying to outfight other ghouls. So
yeah, but that's what I like about focal points, because there are 5 objectives.
Yeah.
So actually, like, having enough units, so obviously, we heard Tony make the joke earlier. He was like, I was like, group patrol. He's like, yeah, just less drops, because that's what he's aiming for.
That's it.
But less drops also means less units, and the reason I like this is because you do need 5 units to go and rock around and score. They can leave the objectives and go and score other objectives, but you still, like, when you're always trading one unit for the next via combats, which is what's really interesting in the other game, where what you're going to see is John just clear objectives based on shooting. He's going to move there later. Yeah.
So yeah,
it's kind of like clearing a forest fire, right? Like he's just like burning the area in front of him, and then just kind of consolidating his way into it.
Yeah, it's burning fire breaks.
Yeah, like mortar fire. Yeah.
So it's basically we're going to see where this dragon's going to go, and what he's got to do and try and capture some gold, but at the same time clear out some of Tony's units. So you reckon he's just going to go straight over to the left objective? This is decision time, and who knows what decision he's going to make based on the previous turn. When,
however, his decisions in the previous turn, as insane as they seemed,
they paid out. I don't think they were planned to pay out that way, but
no.
They did pay out. So
no, I don't think so. So he's decided. I think he's going to go for the Arc region. That's what he's aiming for. Now, what he's actually doing is Tony has. Pete's dragons are actually on a little bit of a smaller base.
Yeah.
So Tony's just saying, "Oh, this is how big your base is," and just doing a check.
So yeah, just checking whether he can pile into 2 units there. I think you'll find that there's 2 little characters there. So I think there's one over here and one somewhere around there. So he's just trying to make sure he can hit them both with his big base. So.
Yeah, Meermouse pointed out that when he grows up, he would like to be more like Pete. Hey Dasmall, here you are. Hey all Twitch chat, YouTube chat if you're watching. Thanks for watching. We are taking questions on Twitch if you want to come join us there. Facebook chat if you're knocking about. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining us. You guys are cool. We appreciate it. So there we go. Bringing on some players to be able to score that objective, which I think is important. Or maybe he's just going to go clear. Maybe no. He's making sure he doesn't get the charge doesn't happen. So he's just going to score this turn.
Right. Okay. So
consolidate.
Consolidation,
and then this unit here has to come and maybe try and clear. It's not going to be able to do it against the dragon. So he's just making it so even if in Tony's turn he gets the priority roll, he won't be able to make the charge. And obviously these players are super fast, go over, do some punching, and then they can just start bouncing objectives away, which I think is the key.
So I assume Tony's had the first part of this round, so he would have scored an extra 2 points. So he should be on 6, I would have thought, looking. We haven't updated the score sheet yet, but it does look like Pete will then score an extra 4 this round, so he should... okay, so Tony did score 4 that turn.
So which is interesting. So 8-3 currently. So Pete is going to have to go and pump the numbers up.
Because they were the 2 characters that came and nicked the gold out from under the dragon's feet.
Nice.
So
smart move.
But now the dragon's going to hopefully get the gold back. So yes.
So maybe he's hoping to shoot one, eat the other. Although I would worry about over here, but you're right. Maybe just take out the individual characters, and then he's still got but 4 turns to go and eat stuff, including this turn. So he's still got 3 more rounds to go and womp. I mean, he can literally start just clearing objectives on his own.
Yeah, that's it.
And just be like, this is mine. Next round, this is mine. So that charge has gone in. But I think we have a table recap coming soon, which is going to be really interesting.
It looks like he is in range to get both of them. They're just checking again with the bigger base, the 160mm base, making sure that his jaws are long enough to be able to pick out one of the dudes.
And then eating. Eating. Which one would you? What's tastier, an Arc Regent or a Ghoul King? What would you prefer to eat?
The Arc Regent sounds more posher, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does sound more posher.
I'll put a bit of ketchup on the Ghoul King, and then have the other one maybe with a bit of salt.
Salt? I'd have it with some mayonnaise, and probably, if I was to ask you, loads of cheese or something similar. Right. Exactly. Right. All right. So we're gonna, while we see what happens in these combats, we're going to be find out what is happening at the rest of the tournament. Thanks to our wonderful and gorgeous infield reporter. We're going there to him now. So apparently, yeah, he's good. He's got a phone. He needs it. Good. And we're going to go see what he needs. Mr. Adam Chuckleboy.
Sorry, I'm just ordering some flesh-eater courts off the internet. They're doing all right. They're doing all right. But guess what? Guess who isn't doing all right with his flesh-eater courts against some giants? Most underdog army giants. So this is Nigel Bartlett with his Gutbusters versus Simon Eccles, with his flesh-eater courts. Now, Speckles, we all know and love Speckles, but apparently he's really not very good at Warhammer because he's got a bent as bananas army, and he's just got giants just rampaging all over him. So the Archregent was pretty much the only thing left out of Speckles' army left on the entire table. Giants are just absolutely smashing everything. The only thing, the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist is still on the table, but he's got 1 wound left. 20 ghouls were just coming on the table as summoned by the Archregent. Other than that, Simon he is getting absolutely smashed into the ground. I mean, Simon's getting, Simon's not doing so well on that one. Just over my shoulder here, you've got Dan, the East Nottingham Master, with his Beast of Chaos versus Adam Hazelwood, Nighthaunt. Unfortunately, the Nighthaunt are looking like they're very much on the last legs there. Dan is he's played it, some would say masterfully, some would say. And he's just pinned Adam in the corner from really early on, and it does look like Adam can't make his way back from that purely because he's only got about 8 models left on the table, and Dan has most of his army left. Looking at, so we've got the Battle of the Hotness, not necessarily people, although Miles and Steve are both wonderful, stunning looking men. You've got Miles with his Skaven and Steve with his flesh-eater cults. Now, I told you earlier that Steve was sat there all pompous, all like, nah, mate, I'm going to give away the first turn. I'm going to take the second part of the first turn, then I'm going to double turn him. He did it. He absolutely double turned him. And his Ghoul King on Terrorgeist is just smashing through Miles' army. He's so in 2 rounds of combat, he killed a Graveseer, Arch Warlock, Warp Lightning Cannon, and his other Terrorgeist, so Steve's other Terrorgeist. All he managed was 5 Clan Rats. That's it. So it's not completely and utterly landslide. But over my left shoulder here, you've got JJ. This is the Skaven mirror match, right? So we saw JJ earlier. JJ versus Tom, and funnily winning, just here. But JJ's looking really, really strong. He's just managed to get the double turn. It is close on points, but it's still really early in the game. So that is. Over on my right, you've got John Green, Stormcast Eternals versus Ben Johnson, who's basically flesh-eater courts. So he's had months with that army. Ben seems to basically be slightly outplaying John. He's certainly ahead on points, but John just dropped in 20 Secretors, Lord Arcanum, and 3 Ballistas, and just shot one of the Terrorgeists straight off the board. Straight away, bang, gone. And it looks like he's putting a hell of a lot of wounds into the others as well. So John may well be able to claw some points back, but he's moving very, very slowly now. He's dropped really far away because of the board coverage and the spreading out that Ben managed to do. So I think John's tactic seems to be sound, but Ben may have covered for that and kind of just swarmed the centre, because with the objectives placed where they are, you block the centre out, you're doing pretty well. Table 23, Stormcast Eternals mirror match. Not a lot to report on that one, really. This is Joe with his kind of classic Stormcast versus James with his Sacrosanct. Just really neck and neck. The one thing I would say is Joe looks like he has a little bit more board coverage and looks like it's just about to tip more in his favour. But you know, that's looking great. Over right on the far side of the hall here, we've got Alex with Mixed Order versus Simon with his Skaven. So Alex earlier on was the only person to defeat Flesh Eater Courts. He's now very much on the way to beating Skaven. He's just Dreicher in his Mixed Order list. Dreicher's just done 27 mortal wounds in one go because she was quite sad, so she gets to re-roll some crazy ability that just deletes units. And just so it's 3 up mortal wound roll, and she gets to re-roll it. She did 27 mortal wounds on a whole bunch of clan rats. That's nearly the entire 30-man unit gone. Just peace, gone. And then table 28, James Boots with his Gloomspite Gits versus Nigel with his Zinch. Nigel's doing great, really great. He's the only Zinch player here, and he's marching James off really. I mean, Spiderfang maybe not the strongest, but Nigel's doing great. So he's looking like he's about to take that one. And with that, I'm going to hand back to Rob and Nathan, and yeah, they'll catch you up on the big games.
Great work there, Adam. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. So welcome back to the Sheffield Slaughter. This is round 2. Everyone in the hall. There are 80 players playing at the Davy Sheffield Sporting T-Sports Centre here live in Sheffield. And they are playing focal points, everyone is. And they are playing in the realm of Shamon, the realm of Mel. Which is exciting. Yeah. And then you're seeing now a mirror match between Flesh Eater Courts and Flesh Eater Courts. Tony, top of the board, he got to go first, and he took 2. He took his Ghoul King on a Zombie Dragon and his Ghoul King on a Terrorgeist, and he charged at 2 Ghoul Kings on Terrorgeist. Then he lost 2 dragons by the end of that battle round, and in the centre is the only Ghoul King left on Terrorgeist, which is Pete's General at the bottom. Pete went second. He did some what is out of the box thinking with his. That's how I describe it.
It made it a little bit harder for himself, but it still worked because managed to got eaten by Tony's dragon, but then when a unit dies you can activate it with another hero, so then the other hero activated that dragon. So he ate the dragon back that had just eaten him. So I don't quite know how that works logistically if you eat something that's just eaten you, unless you just ate your way out of it.
Eat your way out,
But then you're still dead. But what they're saying at the table, which is quite a cool analogy, is basically there's 2, it's a joust. Basically they just they just unhorsed each other as they charged at each other across the field.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah,
that's really nice.
Full on. They're having a battle for the favour of the lady or something.
Oh, where's the lady? I guess it's Mr. Kunis doing the table reporting. Being our table boss. Thank you, Mr. Kunis, wonderful man.
So we're now into turn 3. Tony won the turn.
Oh, okay, that's quite impactful.
Took the priority because there's only 4 wounds left on this wee fella.
Do you mean the abhorrent Ghoul King atop a Terrorgeist?
On the Terrorgeist. So that gave Pete the opportunity to move the Endless Spell. So this Endless Spell was in this area. He then flew it over that unit of ghouls, flew it over the unit of ghouls that was at the back of the table, and then bounced it. So just like bounced back over them. So it would have done a bit of damage to both units. Tony then dispelled it at the start of his turn and then recast it back into the same position. So it's blocking off this Terrorgeist, and then he's moved up to defend his point, as you can see. So he's using these endless spells and the units of ghouls just to try and keep this Terrorgeist under wraps.
That's actually really clever. Well, what's really interesting is this unit of ghouls here on the right hand side. They've come over, and this is the trade. So they're going to kill this unit of ghouls.
That's right.
Right, and now this unit of crypt players at the bottom can only go over here and help get that, or go over there and take that. So probably the sensible option.
So what we're also aware of is that this is the point, and these two ghouls here are contesting that point. So he's actually got control of the gold in the center as well.
Wow.
So so that's very you know, one big scary dragon, but it's still not enough to be able to nick the gold off of two ghouls if they're not fighting.
Yeah, if they're not involved in the fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're just very quietly sat. They're just holding on to it. They're like, shh, don't tell him. And they're like, oh no. Yeah, so I feel like this could actually be potentially Tony's game now, as much as it might not seem that way.
Oh, Tony's just made an 11-inch charge as well to wrap around that unit. So
over here.
So he now controls that objective, even if he doesn't before fighting. So, but after fighting, obviously he's going to go in first, probably chop the hell out of that other unit of ghouls. So he probably won't even have a counter threat once he's dealt with that unit. So
yeah, I agree.
So it does look like Tony's clawing his way back. Well, just he's been ahead the whole time on points, so he's not really clawing his way back. He's just staying ahead.
Yeah, he is just staying ahead. Yeah, you're right. And I think one of the key elements of what he did there, which is interesting because what he actually didn't, so when he charged originally, there was a dragon here, and then he charged from this dragon to there. And what he wanted to do was make that charge, but he didn't actually get the dice roll he wanted to get close enough. So what he did instead was he went here, and then he ate all of the characters. But actually that fortuitously has worked out, because it's meant Peter's had a limited amount of units in comparison to Pete. Peter's had a limited amount of units in comparison to Tony at that stage. So actually that's kind of gone his way, even though that wasn't his plan, right?
And definitely, well, I mean, as soon as we saw one dragon left on one side, we thought, well, that's they've got the game. But no,
it's theirs.
No, it's all about the ghouls. So should we go and have a look at what Nikos is up to over on that table?
Yeah, let's head over.
Those ghouls are munching on each other.
So so to catch you up, John got the first turn with his Skaven. What he did was he killed. He took 3. He cast the endless spell, Skaven endless spell here, the diamond, and he did a bunch of mortal wounds, but didn't kill anything. Over here, you saw 3 Razordons die to the warp lightning cannon. Nikos pushed up in his turn, and what was quite key, it was the priority roll, because there were some Razordons here. Yeah. Now, let me tell you about these Storm Fiends, Nathan.
Yeah.
These Storm Fiends are +1 to hit, because they're within 12 inches of this guy. Yeah? They are re-rolling to hit. Okay. And re-rolling to wound because of the...
is that a Packmaster?
They're re-rolling to hit, re-rolling to wound from the more power spell.
Okay, yeah, from
they
the Bombardier.
They then are using a Warpstone token to give them +1 damage to every single gun in that 6 Storm Fiend unit. So that 6 Storm Fiend unit is currently +1 to hit, re-rolling to hit, re-rolling to wound, and every single damage is adding +1 to its damage.
Wow. So that's a pretty scary unit, that is.
And to tell you, and to let you know what that has done in the shooting phase, there were 4 Razordons here. There aren't.
Yeah.
There were 4 Razordons here. There aren't.
Yeah.
And then there is so far left a Salan at the back, an Engine of the Gods. There are some skinks. There are now. This is a really cool thing. I don't know if you've seen here, but the Warp Lightning Cannon has got 2 chameleon skinks who obviously in Nikos' turn they
popped up,
locked him in combat, and then he missed with his shooting, and that being the only unit they could shoot. So I think Nikos was hoping that would stop it shooting into
the Razordons,
but I don't think anyone can really expect the sheer volume of damage that those Storm Fiends can do.
That's
now they are going to take
devastating units.
Yeah, they take D3 mortal wounds after in John's next hero phase, because of giving them more power. But I tell you what, I'll take D3 mortal wounds to reroll to hit and reroll to wound.
Yeah, definitely. That's That's a nice little combination they've got there. Really, really good.
Devastating.
Yeah.
John did tell me off when I went over. He explained it to me and I pulled a face and he went, no, you don't get to pull that face, because last time me and John played, I used 3 Celestial Hurricanes against him and 9 Colonel Thunters, and they were all a lot cheaper back then, and he was like, this was one, it was, we had a really great game, but he did not enjoy the experience.
No, I bet he didn't.
He did not.
Those Hurricanes can shoot so many mortal wounds.
Especially when they were 180 points at the time.
Yeah.
That was such a good time.
Sure.
I'm so sad.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Who doesn't want to fight a battle wagon full of laser beams?
That was horrendous. I remember playing against that. It was hard work.
It was hard.
Right, so back at table 1.
Yes, sir.
Pete did then use the Death Frenzy so that his ghouls could still fight even though they were dying.
No way.
But it does not look like they've done enough damage there.
So that would be here. No, they haven't done enough damage to clear out Tony's unit. So Tony's going to score this objective. So yeah, as you can see, at the end of Tony's turn 3, he's 14-7. Now, if you cap all of the objectives on the board, you are able to score 8 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can really pull it back if you wipe everything out. But he's going to lose this unit here. He's got a unit here to deal with. He has to go deal with in the centre. I don't know. He just doesn't have enough units.
Or not enough time, really, to get to all the places he needs to get to.
Well, so he currently has the bottom objective. He can take this unit of flayers and he could go and save that right hand objective, but then he loses the left hand objective. So what I would probably do is I would retreat this unit here that's left, if there's any left. I think there are. So the unit on the right hand side. I take the flayers, I go over there and I kill them. But the problem is they're far enough away from the objective, so I would have to land here, fly over, and then hopefully kill them.
Yeah.
Then I would use the general, and I would try and kill either the ghouls here, if there are no characters left. But I think there might still be a cheeky arch regent, but I don't think there is.
No, they're all gone now.
So then I would go and kill the ghouls, and then if I win the priority roll, I cap that top objective, I cap that bottom objective, I cap that, and then the only one that's possibly free is the right-hand side. But then in Tony's 4th turn, what Tony has to do is go and clear that to make sure they can't score. So then turn 5 becomes academic, and I think he gets the point at that stage. I think.
Yeah, that's a lot of ifs and buts there. It's loads of movement. I mean, I would consider trying to get the flayers up to compete with this one, and then the Terrorgeist into this one, because you score more if you score the opposite ones. You already control this one, and then try and flank,
come back in.
and then try and bring both of them in from each side.
But surely then he's going to funnel the ghouls into the centre.
Into the centre, which is fine. If you control all the outside ones, the ghouls get stuck in the centre, then you can just try and sandwich them in. But who knows what is going through Pete's mind, because it is being being purified by alcohol.
Yeah, Pete is 5 beers deep. Although Pete thankfully has said that he's really happy with the new Flesh Eater course book, because a lot of people don't know it's actually designed to be played drunk.
Okay, so Pete's healed up to 7 wounds. So, and that's from the chalice. Yeah.
So the chalice is here because of all the deaths here. What actually happened is there's been some healing, so 7 wounds, because he was down to 3.
That's right. Yeah. So an extra 4 wounds. Basically, yeah, that's great. Just from stuff dying over there in a different fight. Okay, they're just checking whether it is a friendly chalice only that can heal it. So they're just having a quick rules query there.
Oh, so it might not be a Flesh Eater course, it might be a friendly Flesh Eater course.
Because it is actually Tony's chalice that is over there.
My chalice. He wants to drink from his chalice. Would you let another man drink from your chalice?
No.
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 No, that's not okay, is it?
You can't. Not if they're a Barrent Bull King. Definitely not.
That's your hard line.
Yeah, it's like maybe if you were just a pirate, but not an abhorrent Bull King.
One of the things we talked about in the last round, Nathan, we talked with Adam, we were talking about the 3 units you hate most in Age of Sigmar. Which 3? Which 3 do you dislike the most?
The Legion of Asgore.
That's an army, not a unit.
It's not really an army. It's not really a unit. It's just like a figment of your imagination.
Okay. I think it's a real army, but we'll find out. I actually chose the Rune Lord, the Unforged, and Dwarf Warriors.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty scary, aren't they?
That's why there are so many being taken in AOS 2, and by so many, 0.
Too good. They're too good.
They're too good.
People are banning them.
So while the guys work out, let's see what's happening on table 2. This is what the guys are working that out. We'll go to table 2. Right. There's a lot of light now. The realm of light has been unleashed. So it's obviously Nikos' turn. He's summoned a unit of skinks here, which is he's lost all of his punch, Dave.
Yeah.
He's lost all of his punch. The engine of the gods is over here now.
It's done some teleporty.
He has done some teleporting. So I imagine he's going to go and try and go into here. The Vermin Lord is still there, so he probably can deal with that. I think holding the centre ground with the Storm Fiends is actually really good. Like, normally against other armies you'd be like, okay, I'm going to go and deal with that. But there's so much. Oh, he's going to try and outnumber him. He's going to go for the points. Nikos' army is designed for objective play.
Yeah.
That's what he's looking for.
Sneak into all the little gaps and just get as many models as you can onto the objectives.
So I think that's what he's doing. And if he can do that, so if he gets the priority roll, because he's gone second, he can score quite a few points before then a ton of his stuff is murdered. John John actually unbound his own Skaven spell, but he then didn't recast it. And he did say I got a bit greedy, because what he wanted to do was drop them over here where originally those Razordons were, but it didn't matter because he obviously just blitzed the Razordons with those insane Storm Fiends. I've got some Storm Fiends. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, they're pretty good at the moment. I mean, that's a cool loadout with the 2 buffing characters there. That's really good. So the scores on the doors are
they're a few turns behind what we're seeing on table 1. But don't forget, this is Nikos' journey.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is it looks like Nikos' army build, which is very... Interestingly, John and Nikos' army builds are very similar. They've got like chaff screens, and then they've got shooting that they do over the top.
But the Skaven shooting is just so much more brutal.
So much betterer. Like, I would say it's the most bestest and betterest of all of the shooting I've seen to date.
So this is a Bastillodon down here, is it?
No, that's Islan.
Oh, okay.
That's Islan. Islan is at the bottom, who's actually slouched out in his chair. It's actually a really lovely army, and it's up for best painted, I think.
Right, okay.
Really nice.
So at the moment, we've just heard, Nikos is outnumbering on that centre objective. So it does look like, so at the moment it's 8-4 to John. But Nikos is yet to score in his half of this round. There's a good chance he'll score another 4 as well. So
another 4.
They'll be even, although the Seraphon army is running out of bodies, it looks like. So
very quickly. I think what he might be hoping for in the next turn is to deal with that warp lightning cannon via this. That's what I would say as a threat. I just don't know. I
don't know how he'll deal with those Storm Fiends. Not only have they got such a high damage output, they're quite meaty. They're chunky little buggers, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really tough.
5 or 6 wounds each. Yeah. So
with a 4-up save. Now, if you took the belly version, you could take it so that they've got the plate as well. Yeah. They're really good, and what's really nice is that they're now, I would say, fulfilling the role that you expected them always to fill, which is just be chunky wounds on the board that are doing this. They're kind of weapon platforms.
Yeah, they do loads of damage, which is what they've always done. I mean, it was pretty horrendous when they were just kitted out with the burners, but then John has always taken a slightly different loadout on his Skaven. I remember at the first Warlords tournament, he took the ones with the grinder fists,
he did.
And then buffing them with the Packmaster, and using sail to fly them around the board.
Yeah. Like I say, John's been a long time competitive player, and he is an excellent gamer. So we're lucky to get to see him on the table. John would be one of my people I would pick to potentially win the tournament.
He's definitely a really good player. So.
Yeah, it has to be. And then what's really interesting is we're seeing, as we like to call him, young JJ over on table 1. We saw him in the last game with his Skaven as well. Skaven out the door a week after the Battle Tome release are causing issues all over. But we should find out what issues those are going to be. And we don't know until we hear from the man, the legend himself, the man myth. That's right. Yeah. Some people say he was designed only to love. Yeah. His name is Adam, and this is him telling us what's happened.
Hi. Hello.
No fiddling.
So we've got some news for you. So guess what? Yeah. Flesh Eater Courts are done all right. But guess what? Speckles has lost again. The Giants beat so Nigel's Giants have just absolutely pummeled Speckles. Speckles just didn't get a decent save off. Completely whiffed with 2 rounds of combat with his Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. just absolutely got pummeled into the ground by Nigel. And I remember walking over there from the very start. It was a massive uphill battle for Nigel. He wasn't no chance, but I guess when you go against Speckles, you've got every chance to win. Just over my shoulder here to my right, I think that's games already. We've got a lot of games wrapping up now, so just over my shoulder to the right, you've got Dan, the East Nottingham Master, with Beast of Chaos versus Adam with his Nighthaunt. Pretty sure that's all done. It's pretty much finished. Dan was 14-5 up, just about to score another 8. So I think that just puts him technically too far ahead. Miles versus Steve's. This is the Skaven versus Flesh Eater Courts. So this is the 2 hotness, right at the battling out right at the top. So Steve did the double turn, and that seems to have basically secured. It was really important double turn. Seems to have essentially secured it in Steve's favour. However, Miles has just rung the bell and rolled a double 6, so just managed to pull a Vermin Lord out of his arse, basically. Just plucked it out of the sky. But yeah, that double turn by Steve really has set Miles back. Table 8, you've got John Green versus Ben Johnson, Stormcast Eternals versus Flesh Eater Courts. It was 12-4 to Ben, and I think he was just about to score some more. So. And he also had 2 Terrorghosts about to tear 10 Evocators apart, so that's not looking great for John. Table 23, Joe Purcell versus James Bedford. This is the Stormcast Eternals mirror match. And as we've seen with some other mirror matches, it's just neck and neck. They're just slamming heads against each other. It's immovable object, unstoppable force type thing, you know? It's just not going anywhere. We've also got Alex Bruce, who faced up against Flesh Eater Courts in round 1, beat them, the only person to have beaten them. He's now just faced up against Simon Bradbury's Skaven, and he's just taken the Skaven off. He's just absolutely, his mixed order army is just absolutely smashing face so far. James Boots with his Gloomspite Gits versus Nigel with his Zinch. Nigel's done amazing, so good. And that is basically Nigel's game to lose now. It's kind of, he's got all the points, he's got all the board coverage. That's pretty much it. And that is all I have for you now. I'm going to go and have a little scurry around. I'm going to hand back to Rob, and he's going to give you the latest on the top tables.
Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much, Adam. You wonderful, gorgeous man. Appreciate that loads. Right, look, now I don't know much. That's true. I'll say that as a fair statement. And I can't wait, Nathan, to hear this. We're looking at this is Nikos's game. It's Nikos's turn. He's done something we weren't expecting, to be honest, right? Well, there's 2 things we weren't expecting. One thing we didn't think about was Camo Skinks going into the
Storm
Fiends. So then they're now not going to be able to shoot in the next turn unless they can kill. Now the combat Yeah, I saw. It's insane. They're not going to be able to shoot out unless they can clear those 5 skinks in combat, which they're not often do. However, look at this. Look at this here, Nathan. So Nikos is using summoning points.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to summon anything in the Seraphon army, what would be the last thing you would summon?
A Troglodon.
Right there. He summoned a Troglodon.
Okay.
And then I said to him, because obviously they're playing the game, so I don't want to impact the win,
yeah.
right? And I was like, right. And then John said, he must have a sneaky plan. And I went, I think he's just messing with your head. Yeah, because Nicholas is like one of the ultimate trolls. And then John went, no, I don't think so. He's after me. And I'm like,
how?
How? No, you can cast spells through the Troglodon, is the only thing I can think, right? That's the only thing I can think. And the realm magic is transmutational lead, which is cast value 7. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit with an 18, and then until your next hero phase, halve the move characteristics rounding up. In addition, if this unit has a save characteristic of 2, 3, or 4, until your next hero phase, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks that against that unit. That doesn't do anything. So, I don't know what he's going to do. Now, obviously, he's a
Going to be taken 4.
he's a fellow on his wargamer,
Oh yeah, turn 4.
and so I'm just not 100%. I'm not 100% sure what the Troglodon can add to the game.
No, I don't understand. I don't understand where the Troglodon
Fits into the plan. Does anyone know the plan with the Troglodon? Because I can't.
Is he going to charge in with it?
It's all the way back there.
Into those clan ranks? I mean, Troglodons are fun. I have played against them. They were alright, but
The only thing that's unique about Troglodon is you can cast spells through. That's the only thing I can think.
I suppose there must be less summoning points than a Carnosaur.
I also wouldn't summon a Carnosaur. Anyway, so Nikos doing some summoning, but what has happened is the Razor Dawn over here, as well as the Engine of the Gods, have gone into this unit of clan rats. So trying to whittle them down, I think, is the key feature.
Alright, here we go. Troglodon is going to charge. I told you.
No,
it's all about charging.
It is all about charging, but it's not going to do any damage.
That's great in a fight. I fought against one once.
Not who's there says it's like the shittiest ruse ever. I couldn't agree with you more. Fulgrima and me agree, it's psychological warfare. And then Clunk says that Trogs are awesome. I don't disagree that they look great. Anyway, let's go look at table 1. Let's see what's happening. Now, both of these players, by the way, both John and Nikos are on 1 win, so they potentially, they're in that bracket that we're currently seeing.
Right,
so catch me up now.
So what's happened here is Tony's won the turn, and he is now controlling all 5 objectives.
Tony is?
Yes. So at the end of this turn, he's going to score big.
So he's going to be on 22.
Yeah, and it's going to put him too far ahead. Basically, he's got
won.
the game. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
So
Do you think it's just come down to the priority rolls? So to catch you guys up, because obviously you've just joined us, in the first turn, what we saw happen, so we're playing focal points. You can see there are 5 objectives. Look at the map on the side. What Tony got to choose to go first, and he did choose to go first, where we saw 2 dragons go over here and then fight 2 dragons. But because of the ethereal amulet on Pete's dragons, this dragon over on the top right hand side, this dragon won its fight.
Yeah.
And this dragon at the bottom didn't get charged, which was fine. Then what happened in Pete's first turn is, so then Tony lost the dragon basically on the turn he charged, which was odd.
Yeah.
Then what happened was a dragon went in here of Pete's, died, and then attacked and killed the other dragon. So then now there was only 1 dragon, and then the entire game since turn 1 he's just been sat in the middle of the board doing nothing.
Just killing. Well, he killed a couple of.
He's literally been feeding him.
Yeah, because he's heavily wounded, his movement is actually quite reduced, and then he's just And then using, Tony's been very good at using the endless spells and the ghouls and the 2 little characters that he had in the center, just to keep basically pinning him on that center objective, because he's like, can't move away to go and clear stuff out, because he's got to stay there and keep fighting stuff that keeps coming up and nicking the gold from under his feet. But it doesn't ever attack him in his turn, so he can't. You're not feeding him a unit in your turn. You're just getting 2 models in close enough to get the gold, but then but they're safe because they're not in a fight. So now Pete has then got to use his turn to go and clear out those guys. Meanwhile, around the rest of the board, Tony's just taking control of the rest of the board. As you see, the unit of 2 flayers at the bottom has now disappeared. 10 ghouls have gone in and smashed them up. And the big unit of ghouls that he had ambushing up on the right have come on and just swamped that objective, destroying the 2 units of ghouls that Pete had there.
I just think he should have just left the centre and just gone everywhere else.
Well, yeah. No, he was stuck in there because of the terrain, and he was very, and because he's very, and he's wounded, so he can't actually fly over units because his base is so big, and his movement is hampered. So Tony's been using his units, much like skinks really, as a net around him. So he's got to fight them to get his way out to them, but it's just taking too long.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, really devastating, realistically. And then really clever play by Tony, just using those small units. And again, you got to look at turn 1. He was unhappy he didn't get the charge off into the dragon originally, but it's turned out in his favour, because by having more small units available than Pete has, he's been able to just feed those units like you said and just hold those units. So that's actually been really, really big. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, that's actually really impressive. And yet, like you said, he's just pulled too far ahead. He's 12 points ahead. So I think that's a win. That's a win on table 1 to Tony.
Yeah, I can't see any way that Pete can get back and even contest. Even if that dragon, it just can't fight in 5 places at once. It can only fight.
Which is big model syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have which is kind of what Nikos has available here. Nikos has like a range of models, and you'll be able to like move them around. You can teleport them. We saw the Troglodon didn't make the charge. The world's most underwhelming, no one cares charge of all time.
It's great.
The Troglodon.
He's going to use the divining rod on somebody's ass.
Yeah, he's going to be like divining rod, divining rod. So there's all to play for, I think, in this game. Personally, it's 8-8. So there you go, and then you're into, and he also has made the charge with some of those skinks and has locked up the Storm Fiends in combat, which is quite big.
So it looks like John's obviously having his must have won priority, taking the turn, and those Storm Fiends have gone and taken out that unit of skinks in the centre, and so I do think this is where the tide is going to turn.
I think so too.
Really badly against Nikos, because those Storm Fiends, no slouch in a fight, obviously loads of guns as well. It's going to hurt.
I actually think okay, we just heard an official from the table on table 1. So table 1, it is all over, and it is a win for Tony. So Flesh Eater Courts go through out of the Flesh Eater Courts mirror match, weirdly after losing both of their dragons on the first turn.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting match. Definitely worth watching back and showing people, just to show where the power is there.
Yeah, well, Tony, obviously a really cool customer. Obviously losing both the dragons would probably panic a lot of people, but cool as a cucumber, carried on playing the game, playing the mission, winning the game.
He has a response rate like his army, a flat line. Yeah, no heart rate. Yeah, just absolutely deadpan, which is great. I played him before. It was a really fun game of Warhammer at a match. This is way back. This is a couple of years ago now, and just really studious competitor and a really good player. So dead good to see him doing dead good with the dead good dudes.
Yeah.
The DGDs.
Them are dead good. Dead good.
Dead good. They are dead good. Talking about dead good, we can see from our eye line Mr. Simon Speckles, who just lost with Flesh Eater Corpse.
Against some giants.
To giants.
I think he's just told somebody, because I've just seen somebody spray beer all over the place out of their mouth. So
to giants.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very funny win, realistically. So over here,
right. Okay, so this is still. Actually, I think this is still Nikos's turn, and apparently Nikos has made a mistake when he charged in with those skinks.
Yeah.
Charged in close enough to allow the Storm Fiends to pile in,
right.
And that's why we've seen the Storm Fiends taking off loads of skinks.
From combat.
Okay, so that was what we saw previous. Now it's John's actual turn, and now you can see he's clearing out more stinks.
Yeah, I think, and as we saw.
Okay, sorry, no, we'll mix up. This is still Nikos's turn.
Right.
And he is losing skinks left, right, and centre. Basically, he made the mistake of ending one of his charges within 3 of the Storm Fiends, so they were able to pile in, and they did put a big dent in that big unit of skinks that was at the top centre.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and that's quite a significant punch, realistically.
Yeah.
Considering that they're shooting units.
Well, I mean, obviously they're still big fellas, and they can bash about little lizards quite easily. So they've done that.
No. Yeah, I mean, they are big hulking, machinacious rats. But look, a man's skink is they're quick, they're agile, they're Rocky versus Khal Drogo. Yeah, they're like mobile and agile. Yeah.
Rocky versus Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
Which one's the skink?
Rocky.
He's not a little lizard.
Italian lizard. No. No, but in all seriousness, yeah. It's quick. All right, more like Muhammad Ali. Floating like a butterfly.
No, small. Muhammad Ali wasn't small. More like that.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah, but one punch from
Mini-Me from Austin Powers.
Yeah, that guy.
Like him.
Might be hard to
The
hit,
Rock.
but one hit would have him flying across.
So currently it's Mini-Me versus The Rock. And The Rock is winning. Rob, bias against Italians. That's true. That's really true. However, they're nimble. They could run away.
I like Italians, in spite of all they've done to me.
All right. So yeah, you're right. Nikos has made a bit of a mistake, but Nikos didn't win the priority roll, so the priority roll is coming up. So that does potentially mean he can get the priority roll in this turn, going into turn 3, and that could be quite impactful because he is starting to work over here into this unit. Yeah. Right, and so he potentially could whittle them down. Maybe the Storm Fiends are just terrifying.
Yeah,
right?
well, that has meant the Storm Fiends can move further onto that central objective. Just makes it so much harder for him to be able to contest it. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty painful. Even if he does win the priority, still nothing dealing with that warp lightning cannon. So it'll be free to pick off the engine or that last Razor Dawn.
It could miss.
Sure.
It could miss.
That's never happened in your whole life.
It could miss. So what?
I've never seen a warp lightning cannon miss. They don't roll to hit.
Well, no, but it could do not good. Sure. How's that?
I've never even heard of that happening.
It can do not good. It's
really?
got. Yeah, it can do not good. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Honestly, no, they are so strong. They're terrifying.
Yeah.
Just in the past 2 games, when we saw obviously the game before, we saw JJ and he just did flat 11 mortal wounds with 1, and then we saw exactly the same happen over from John against Nikos. So 11 mortal wounds at 25 inches is bonkers.
And at what cost to the warp lightning cannon?
And at what cost to the game, Nathan? That's the question. At what cost? Because no heroes are safe, especially Mortarks. They'll be dead. Yeah, they'll be dead.
Yeah.
What else will be dead?
Everything.
Loon bosses on Mangler Squigs, they'll be dead.
Yeah. But not Scragrot. He'll hide.
He'll hide.
Yeah, there's inside the loon shrine. There's a little cave. You can go inside there.
Just push him inside. You can't see me. Yeah. I'm safe. All right, I'll take that. So we're going into ongoing combats over on the left-hand side, and we're seeing the skinks the clan rats, basically the same. One doesn't have hair, the other does have hair.
Lots of hair.
It's like you and me. And then, so that'll be the combat. The engine won't die, I don't think. But is that even his plan? What's his plan, mate?
What?
Nikos is convinced that he's got a plan, and I just don't see it.
Is his plan to grasp at straws?
I would like to grasp at straws.
Yeah. Is that what the Troglodon is? It's like a straw that you can grasp at?
I don't know what he can do. I think he just wanted to bring him on because he looks pretty.
Yeah. I think when you get to a certain point in the game, you start bringing on your Troglodon. It's almost like a white flag, I guess.
Yeah, like this game is going badly. Bring on the Troglodon. I think potentially, because obviously Nicholas is aware that you guys are going to be watching him all weekend. He's aware, and he's a bit of a showman. He'll play up to the camera. I know he will. So he may be like hashtag call for the Troglodon.
Call for the Troglodon.
Every time.
Hashtag.
So if you're watching the future game, the next 3 rounds, obviously we're doing top table coverage. When we do go to the Nikos table, though, please in the Twitch chat do call for the Troglodon to be summoned, even if it doesn't win the game. just Nikos, don't win the game. Just call for the Troglodon. Just get him on. He needs a name.
It's got a special whistle when you whistle up your Troglodon.
The Troglodon whistle.
Oh, he's measuring from the Troglodon. He's measuring
the
all the way
Troglodon?
Over there to the warp sphere. What is it doing?
I do not know. I'm fascinated. Please tell me. Our table boss may be able to divine some information.
He won't know. Nobody will know what's going on.
We have intimate knowledge being delivered from the table, and no one knows. The Troglodon is...
Well, obviously Nikos can't tell him because his opponent is stood right there.
Yes.
And it's top secret. I mean, John Dale.
Oh, it's the priority roll. It's the priority roll. John Dale's rolling it. John Dale has just pulled out a Usain Bolt pose, having won the priority roll. That's a good move. That's a good look as well.
Yeah. He's pulled that one off. Really lacquer.
Nikos is livid. He says, screw AOS, I'm going to go play 40k again. Livid he is.
What, no priority rolls?
Yeah, the priority rolls. Even though they've gone completely fairly every round.
Yeah.
You go, I go. I think this is just going to... This is just going to be game, if I'm honest with you, Nathan. Because the sheer volume... it depends if more power goes off, though. Because reroll to hit, reroll to wound is the big one. If that doesn't go off, the dice can be a little bit more unreliable. But effectively...
You're not exactly fighting against a very durable unit in 10 skinks, are you?
Excuse me, sir. I think you'll find 10 skinks have won many a game of Age of Sigmar. Yeah,
not when they're being machine gunned down.
Not in combat.
No.
But by running.
Or under a hail of bullets, warpstone bullets to the face.
Some of them are warped by throwers.
Sure, and also, that's really going to help them.
And also wind launchers. The power of wind, launched at you.
Yeah, that will be enough to kill a lizard. A wee fart would wipe them out, I'm sure.
24 inches.
24-inch fart, that's impressive. Obviously got a high fibre diet then.
Yeah, well they're rats, aren't they? Yeah, they're gnawing on wood.
Lead pipes.
So yeah, it is a high fibre diet, realistically.
So they're looking very thoughtful over there, so...
Yeah.
There we go. Right, so
into the hero phase. We'll find out from the table boss what spells are being cast.
Right. So.
Yeah. Listen, we can't do like the LVO. They can't be silenced. How do I think Nikos can pull it back? Well, what do I think John's going to do first? Yeah. This unit, I think, is going to aim at the Troglodon just to upset the Twitch chat. Psycho, thanks for subscribing. We appreciate this.
You reckon the Troglodon is priority number 1?
I think John doesn't know why it's there. Yeah.
So he's going to shoot it.
Yeah, so he's panicked.
So he's just going to shoot it to make sure it doesn't do whatever it was supposed to do.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out what spells he has cast though. In a moment.
Yeah, sure. Then, I mean, there's that huge block of clan rats at the top. It's just not moved. Doesn't need to move. I mean, there's so much more that army, the Skaven army, has got under its belt. It's just scary.
It's really, really scary. It's really, and also good placement by John as well. Because if you look at like this, if we compare it to the game before, that unit in the centre has just got command of every objective wherever he threatens. Now, obviously, there are also really, really good placement at the bottom of the warp tunnel, knowing that he starts the game really safe on the top and left-hand objective. The bottom objective is where he's going to want to go eventually.
Yeah, but he's always threatening it because he's got that warp, the warp tunnel there. The Narhole tunnel is there. So Nikos has always got to try and make sure something is there to contest it. So you've got to commit resources there, but then you've got to be careful also of the vortex spell, because I think that must have hurt him quite a bit, the way he spread out so quickly.
Yeah, he has to. Although what was really interesting where it was placed, it looked like, so originally the vortex spell was placed here, and it looked like what it was designed to do was intentionally split up. But I played with Seraphon before. I don't mind splitting up my army. I think what really hurt was that priority turn 2, and then that unit of, because Nikos had protected on turn 1, he protected against that unit of Storm Fiends being able to do too much damage, and then he had to commit in turn 2.
Yeah.
And then if the priority went against him, the Storm Fiends could then finally unleash.
That's the thing we say, is the objectives are there, and like you say, they're objectives of bait, really, at the end of the day, in that you've got to commit forces to them, and that exposes you to your opponent's either charges or their shooting or whatever they've got to. Yeah, once your opponent knows that you're going to have to go to a certain place on the board at some point.
So we have finally seen the spell cast.
Where we see a vortex pylon being set up.
So we have seen it.
This Troglodon is going to be surrounded by...
I told you he'd aim for Terry the Troglodon. He's been zeroed in on. He's had 100-point spell cast on him. Interestingly, have we had more power cast? That's the big question we really want to ask ourselves. Is more power being cast onto the Storm Fiends? That would be what's interesting. But Terry the Trog.
So the Storm Fiends were too far away for some more power.
What's really interesting? Did they pile onto the objective and take themselves out of?
Yeah, they piled in out of range.
Wow,
so
that's actually.
I'm sure that was Nikos's devious.
That was Nikos's devious plan
from the beginning.
Banty Gochard is not happy. Poor Terry. That's right. Please pay your respects to the poor Terry the Troglodon. He is in a tough spot. Why has he done the spell on him? The Terry the Troglodon's in some serious trouble here. Yeah. Nikos, you can quickly. Nikos has snuck over to the table. Everyone on the Twitch chat wants to know, what's the plan with the Troglodon?
To use its awesome power to ruin all the Storm Fiends in the middle.
What's its awesome power?
It's a split attack, right?
Yeah.
D3 shots, 3s and 3s, no rend damage 2.
Scary.
Scary, really scary.
I mean, who would want to be spat on?
All that.
Not even a storm fiend.
Not even a storm fiend, no.
Maybe they would.
I don't
some
think
people
so.
Pay, well, some people pay for that normally. Rob.
Please don't say that on the show. We're doing a show. It's meant to be fancy. I'm wearing a bow tie. So yeah, Terry the Troglodon is in some serious issues here. He's got some tough wooker.
Well, he's just been put in a cage.
So now he does D3 mortal wounds on a 2-up. If he rolls a natural 6, it's going to be D6 mortal wounds, and then the movement phase is going to happen again. So then he can't fly.
He can't fly and he can't run.
So it's going to degrade. It's going to degrade his. There you go, Tristan Gray, a big fan of the hard-hitting insider info there from Nikos on what the battle plan was. The D3 shots.
D3 shots, no end damage 2.
But it's got a hit on 3s as well.
Yeah, 3s and 3s.
So statistically, you never do a damage. So that's cool. That's good. Sure damage. I can't wait for the Troglodon to be 40 points, which is about currently what it should cost in Age of Sigmar, because to make it worth it. Also, it should lose the monster keyword like straight away.
Well, why don't you just make the rules better?
Betterer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in charge of the betterer though.
The betterer.
No.
Betterer hashtag.
So I'm pretty comfortable, realistically, that once these Storm Fiends shot, although actually not having rerolls to hit and rerolls to wound is super big. I'm sure you got that's why they did so much damage in the first turn. They also have powered outside of the 12-inch Wholly Within bubble, so that they don't get +1 to hit.
Yeah.
So that's big.
They're just standard old Storm Fiends, just all on their own.
All on their own.
Will they be able to deal with 10 skinks?
I don't know. 10 skinks is tough. Plus they also have to deal with
10
Terry.
Rockies or whatever.
They've got to deal with 10.
What did you call them?
10
Rockies?
Yeah, 10 Rocky Balboas versus 30 Khal Dragos.
Which ones were Italian?
At this stage, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Whoever's going to surrender, which is going to be Nikos at this stage, if I'm honest.
It's going down.
Yeah. Don't worry, everyone. We are keeping an eye on Mr. Scrivens. At the last 2-day event he attended, he obviously drank too much. So, and this is the crowd that got him drunk last time. The 40k crowd didn't try and get him drunk, Nathan.
Didn't they? What is wrong with them?
Yeah, the Age of Sigmar crowd, though.
They know what's what.
They know where it's at. So here we go. The Vermin Lord warps ears. Vermin warps. What do you think? He's not going to pile him in. He's just going to use them to hold the objectives.
Well, he's not near any objectives at the moment. He may as well go and fight something, because it's boring just standing around doing nothing.
This game is so over. This is so over. It doesn't matter what happens. He's got to kill. He's got to kill everything.
He's got to kill everything.
But he's going to kill everything, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, John's won both priority rolls. The one that was most impactful was the turn 2 priority roll. But this turn 3 priority roll has just sealed the deal, realistically.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's much he's going to do. To be honest, I don't know what's... Now, he's going to keep them super safe, but that unit of Storm Fiends is going to do excellent work against the Gristle Ghoul King.
Yeah.
In the future. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I do think if anybody's got an answer to the scary dragons of the Flesh Eater Corps, the Skavens sure seem to, with their warp lightning cannons.
Yeah, but you still have loads of but I will say the top 10 tables at the minute were, as we were looking at them, there were a lot of Legions of the Gash. Death, I've never seen it so popular. Yeah. Absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
It was deathly. However, we are going to now go to our infield reporter, Mr. Adam Chucklebutty. It looks like he has some news and an interview from the room.
Thanks, boys. So yeah, I'm here with Alex. Alex is you brought your mixed order, haven't you? And
mixed order filth,
mixed order filth. It's not that filthy. You haven't like. It could be worse.
Yeah, there's no Phoenix, which is the stereotypical filth. But yeah.
So what have you got instead of the Phoenix?
So I've got Dryker instead, with 20 Secretors to babysitter. Arcanauts in there for a bit of long range. Some nice electric Morsar eels and a Dragon Lord.
Don't really like. And so far you've taken the 2 biggest scalps there are to take, right? So far.
Yeah, so I've taken the Feck Scalp, first one in round 1, and the Skaven Scalp.
So next, you're probably going to get maybe a slightly harder Flesh Eater Courts list. Are you comfortable? Were you comfortable with that win in your first game?
So it's probably Feck all the way from here. But I think I got the first win a little bit by the skin of my teeth. But it's all about the mission and playing it defensively. So.
Your first game was against Speckles, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So it's a victory, technically, but it might not be a proper full-on Flesh Eater Courts victory. I don't want to hollow out your 2 for 2. I'm just saying it's.
No, I completely agree.
Speckles doesn't really count. You may as well, there's some crazy little kid has just walked in and you've just kicked him in the face. It doesn't mean you won a tournament, But no, it's like that was a tough game you had against the Skaven just then, though.
Yeah, it was pretty close. I mean, the thing is, he had 40 clan rats, 30 storm vermin. So Secretors and the Dragon took off 140. Secretors killed the next 40, and then Dryker killed the storm vermin on her own. So.
Because Dryker did some special stuff, right?
Yeah, she one-bombed them off with a shooting attack. So they were still immune to battle shock. So the 3 of them that survived just stood there.
Yeah, your opponent, he was really happy. He's like, oh, well, they're immune to battle shock, so those 3 are going to be fine. It's like, great. Good luck with 3 clan rats.
They survived until Heraldor tooted them off, so yeah.
That's just filth. So, I'm now going to do a little bit of a rundown. Thanks, Alex. You can go, or you can stick around. You can,
I'm going to go drink.
Oh, you're going to go drink? Alex. Well, thanks for popping on, and I'll catch you later. And
yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks, Alex. Right, so just give you a little wrap up. We've only got a few games to report on. Most of the others are all rounded up and finished. Just behind me here, you got JJ versus Tom. That's still ongoing. It does look like it's gone JJ's way. He doesn't want to say too much really because it's pretty much is done and dusted, I think. But it's still technically Tom could technically still pull it back. John versus Ben. Ben has won that one. The Terror guys just plucked off the Evocators and just kind of munched his way through. And Ben had got a bit too far away on points anyway. Joe Purcell versus James Bedford. This is the Stormcast Eternals mirror match. It was really, really close, and then suddenly it just went away from Joe, and it pretty much went down to the last man. Joe almost tabled him. There was one hero left, and that was a Lord Castellan, which was just quite buried far back in James's back line. So he wasn't really going to be able to eat that. And points-wise, James did take that. So that's a win for James. But ultimately, a win for Stormcast is a win for Stormcast. Dan over my shoulder here. Dan, the East Nottingham master. He has beaten Adam. They're just playing it out now for victory points and kill points just to see how far that goes. And that is the last of the games. That's they're all wrapped up. So that's all I have for you now. I'm going to hand back to Rob and Nathan and leave you with the final of Nikos's game.
Thank you very much, Adam. We appreciate that. You're right. Nathan is actually SOSing you guys via the machine. We'll sort the mics out, and we apologise.
It's not really SOS. It's a complex Morse code message.
All right, and if you can work it out, please tweet us. You've won a prize. So, Adam, thank you. That was brilliant. If you've joined us, obviously Table 1 was over with the Flesh Eater Courts won by Tony Moore versus Pete. In this game, it has come down to Terry the Troglodon at the bottom, who has been so dangerous that he's been caged.
Yeah, caged inside a vortex of warp pylons things.
Yeah. He's been caged inside a warp storm. And then and the Storm Fiends now who are free. The Warp Lightning Cannon has killed itself, which we both celebrated.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone likes a dead warp lightning cannon. However, this game we can officially declare over. Because there is no way Nikos can pull it back, and we're about to, as you can see, he's going to lose units. There you go, Zastroth Bannerbearer has just died. So it's going to be a win to John and his Skaven. So, and there's a Skaven mirror match still happening on table 1. So, yeah, well done to John.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I think that was pretty brutal and comprehensive, that victory. I think the Skaven force really outgunned and overpowered the Seraphon force.
Yeah, it was really devastating, realistically.
Whereas the other game that we saw, I think they were both fairly equally matched.
Well, the Flesh Eater Course game. What the hell happened in the Flesh Eater Course game? No, it was an insane first turn. Like, it just blew me away. Realistically, I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. When we saw the 2 dragons go in, I thought we would see 2 dead dragons, but we saw one dragon got hurt, but then punched the dragon back in the back that had attacked it, which we didn't see that coming. Then the other dragon didn't actually get into the fight either. So
I don't think anyone saw most of what was happening.
Then it killed a couple of characters, and then we thought, well, it's totally exposed. He's going to hit it with his dragon that always fights first, but no, he didn't. He fought it with a dragon that doesn't always fight first.
But then it died.
It died and still gets to fight.
But then he intentionally killed him.
Well,
and then he
I don't know about the intentional.
I think he intentionally killed him. And then he command pointed it and struck,
Yeah.
and then blew our minds, right? And the whole thing was just, you should watch it back if you've only just joined us, because it was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. As you can see, we're here live in the Davy Sports Centre. If you're one of our international viewers, you may not know, but this is a working man's club, which effectively means they only sell 2 things: lager and pork scratchings. Earlier on I told someone I was a vegetarian, and they did try to throw me out. Which is absolutely okay.
And fair.
Yeah, however, there's my favourite substitute teacher. This tie is great. So look, you guys have been brilliant. Obviously, this event is really fun. Loads of people are drinking beers and having fun, as you can hear there.
Yeah. So it is, one of the most popular events, I think, in the event calendar around here. Definitely, and the bar's always open. Well, not always open. Opens from 11. But as soon as it's open, I think it makes roaring trade.
It does make roaring trade.
These people are getting stuck in, having a good time. But there's good games of Warhammer happening as well.
Yeah.
Some really competitive lists out there. Some of them are real brutal. You can see some people scratching their heads and having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's look, it's been super tense, like in some of the matchups, and there's loads to play for. Especially like there's some really top competitors here, and there's lots of new armies. So, and what's really interesting is it's first run out of the gate. I'm really happy that we're doing coverage a week out from those 2 book releases, because we're getting to see them in the field several times.
Well, the interesting thing about that is we've also had the Gloomspite came out beginning of the year, so it's a new book. Well, we've only got 3 Gloomspite armies here.
That's really interesting. And there's only 2 Daughters of Cain armies.
Yeah.
But I know
whereas so many Flesh Eater Court armies and Skaven armies, they're obviously just, I mean, I know people have got Skaven armies from prior times, and obviously Flesh Eater was very popular when it came out, but I do think the power of those 2 new books is so obvious. People have just grabbed those boxes off the shelves and let's get out to battle, boys.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we've seen 2 Skaven games, we've seen the Spellcast twice, we've seen Warp Seers twice, we've seen Warp Lightning Cannons every time. Yeah, we're not seeing other builds at the minute, and maybe those are a little bit, and I think you're right. We've seen Ghoul Kings on Zombie Dragons and on Terrorgeists. We've seen it all. So yeah, like there's been loads.
Oh yeah, I don't think you'll see a Flesh Eater Court army without a dude on a Terrorgeist, because that guy is absolutely
mental,
bonkers.
Yeah, he's so good. He's so good. So you guys are going to need to learn to deal with a character that can move that far, can fight twice,
And
fight
just
even if you kill him,
Yeah, just does so much damage.
and can heal.
Yeah, the Chalice spell seems to be really good, because obviously you want that character to stay alive as long as he does. And the more he kills, the more he heals himself.
And he kills loads.
Yeah.
He does so much damage. It's very close to just being dumb broken. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, it's like exceptional to watch. Good fun coverage. And I think really the story goes that potentially we could be seeing Flesh Eater Corps versus Skaven heading towards the final. They're all doing very, very well. We have seen Beast of Chaos just win a game. Beast of Chaos is still, there's another Beast of Chaos player as well. The Master of Luton.
Okay,
Is playing with them as well. So you've got loads of options. We got a really exciting round 3, and then on Sunday tomorrow, get yourself some drinks in, get your comfies on, prep yourself, get in your WhatsApp groups, get ready to chat. Join us in the Twitch chat.
Yeah.
We got loads of fun to have.
Cool.
I'm really looking forward to it. Do you still think rooting for Skaven to win? Do you think?
I think Skaven, they've got more all-round
potential than the Flesh Eater Corps. Yeah. All right. Well, look, you guys let us know. Thanks for joining us on the Twitch chat. We're going to go off there now. We're going to come back for the next round. So Facebook notifications. Hit subscribe or click the button for notifications for when we go live. That'll help you know that we're here. Thanks for joining us. You guys have been great. Nathan, you've been wonderful.
Oh, you too, sir.
Thank you. Table Boss has been wonderful. John doing the behind the scenes. Adam, you guys have been great. Can't wait for round 3. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks very much.
Cheers.